Story 1. I stopped lying to myself. I accepted that there are things about me that needed to be changed. I accepted that I believed some things that were harming me. I accepted that I had made mistakes. I cannot explain the relief of being able to look at myself in the mirror and say, "You messed up badly, but you can learn from your mistakes, move on, and try not to make the same mistakes again. You are not perfect, and that is okay. Just try to be better going forward." Story 2. Not sleeping. I used to regularly pull all-nighters. I probably spent the better part of the last 2 decades constantly sleep-deprived. Forget that. I sleep now. I don't care what urgent matters there are, or what worries are whispering in my ears. I completely check out, even if it takes a bit of help with medication. It has improved my quality of life by several orders of magnitude. Story 3. Doom scrolling every moment I pick up the phone. I have reduced my daily phone use from 4 hours to 2 hours. There is still some work to be done, but I am feeling much better. Story 4. I kicked a 14-year opioid habit. I am 2.5 years off. Thank you all. The support of internet strangers still amazes me. Last edit. These comments are full of determined people who kicked an addiction. Whether it is pills, alcohol, sex, or drugs, addiction is very hard. Quitting and sobriety are intense and sometimes seem impossible, but you are all doing great. The more of us that share our sobriety stories, the more hope it gives to others struggling with addiction. For those asking for advice, find an anchor. My anchor is my husband and child. They keep me connected to reality and sobriety because I want to make them proud, and they are, of course. Thank you everyone for responding. I know how hard addiction is. I am proud of the fighters, survivors, and success stories. Keep fighting. Story 5. This is going to sound crazy because of the circumstances, and it was not even me who did it. 3.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. A week later, my wife, whom I had taken care of through multiple surgeries and had always provided for over 13 years, decided that she could not do this with me and could not go through it with me. So she left. Fast forward 1.5 years later, and I am in remission. I went through all the pain of everything I was experiencing, and then I recently had the cancer come back again. I have been in remission again for almost 6 months now. I realized completely that my life was easier without her. Despite the cancer diagnosis and all the suffering that came with it, the crazy part is that I am currently happier, have more peace in my life, and am even more financially stable now. This is despite the fact that I am a ticking time bomb of cancer that could come back at any time because the kind I have is treatable but not curable. That is why I say it sounds crazy. One simple diagnosis changed the course of my entire life. By her taking that action, I ended up being happier without her in the end because I do not tolerate people who do what she did. What she did was worse than cheating, and I do not need that kind of dead weight in my life. Story 6. Not saving money. Once I get my salary, I take away 1,000 of my currency and split it into 2 accounts. One for long-term savings and one for emergency savings. Seeing the amount grow over time and knowing that I have backup money really soothes my heart. Story 7. Quit drinking alcohol. Edit. All of you are amazing. We can do this. 5 years no alcohol, 3 years no caffeine for me. Story 8. I quit worrying about my neighbors seeing me embarrass myself while I work on my garden in the front yard. Story 9. Smoking, heavy drinking, staying up late, overeating, not exercising. It has been an absolutely insane year. Story 10. Trying to please everyone. Once I stopped that, decisions became easier, stress decreased, and priorities became clearer. Story 11. Being around people who hurt me or don't like me. I take accountability if I've hurt a person or done something cruel or insulting. But if a person says mean things about the way I look, talk, dress, that is bullying. I stopped talking to my family because they wouldn't stop constantly criticizing the way my son looked. He was loved, clean, and happy. That is all that matters. Life is too short to surround yourself with haters. Surround yourself with love. Story 12. Trying to manage other people's happiness. I am an adult. The people around me are adults. It is their responsibility to tell me if they are upset. Not my responsibility to sense their mood changes and react before they get angry. They are grown adults and can speak up if they are upset. Story 13. Smoking marijuana and drinking alcohol. It turns out what I thought was making me happier was driving me deeper into depression and worsening mental illness. Who knew? 600 days clean today. Story 14. Drinking. In my late teens and throughout my 20s, I drank with relatively zero consequences. My 30s were the same until I hit 34, when the hangovers started to hit harder and last longer. The last time I drank, I was sick for 3 days, and work was an absolute struggle. That told me it was time to stop drinking. Story 15. I stopped seeking joy from getting validated by others. My joy is my own. It is personal and entirely mine. Story 16. I stopped trying to please everybody. I am not fully out of that type of behavior, but I am doing better than I was before. Story 17. Stopped talking to and removed negative people from my life. What a difference. They were dragging me down. Story 18. I cut off my birth mother, who was manipulative and had undiagnosed mental issues, and asked my stepmother to officially adopt me. I am older, but I have never felt such peace. Blood does not matter when you know your true family. I asked her before Mother's Day, and it was one of the most nervous moments in my life, up there with childbirth. She said yes, and we will pick a day to do it once things settle down. I know people wonder why or what the point is, but they just do not understand. Honestly, I do not care whether they do or not because she is my mom. Story 19. I stopped caring about whether people like me and started evaluating whether I like a person or group of people. Story 20. I stopped holding in my anger and blowing up at random times. Now I just express what I am angry about instead of invalidating the feeling. Instead of suppressing it, shoving it down, and slowly turning it into resentment. Story 21. Going to bed with wet hair is something I avoid. I make the effort to dry and straighten my hair after every shower. It might seem like a small thing, but the compliments I receive about my hair looking healthier have boosted my self-worth and mental health. Story 22. Sober for 2 years and counting, I went no contact with my toxic family. Both decisions have made my life significantly better. Story 23. Quit wearing makeup, doing my hair nicely, painting my nails or matching all my clothes, shoes, and accessories when going out for errands, family gatherings, or meeting close friends for lunch. A night out, a date, or a party, absolutely. But daily, it is not worth the trouble to me. Story 24. Going to church. I grew up extremely religious. As a kid, I was confused and appalled that adults watch television. Why would you do that when the literal word of God is right in front of you? However, I experienced a big turnoff when I left a verbally and emotionally abusive relationship. Despite my church being concerned about how I was treated, they shunned me entirely because divorce is considered wrong. I lost most of my friends and all of my social support in the process. All I can say is, the further you get from evangelical circles after being in them your whole life, the more you realize that the normal things you experienced are really strange and unhealthy. Story 25. Cutting off a toxic relative and trying to explain why to people who did not understand. I just let them eventually see for themselves why I did. Story 26. I stopped arguing and fighting for people's attention. I walk away when I need to and have learned to recognize signs of manipulation and toxicity. I have also learned to communicate, compromise, and understand others for stronger, healthier relationships. Story 27. I left my wife. I convinced myself I was stuck in the life I was in and just living out the actions of every day like a robot. Now I feel so alive and free. It is amazing how we forget we have free will sometimes. Story 28. Deleted the majority of social media. Reddit is the only platform I use, and that is just to stay up to date on sports. You do get some very strange looks from women when they ask for a username and you respond that you do not exist on the internet. Story 29. Smoking marijuana. Not to be arrogant, but honestly, my moods improved. I was less dopey, had better mental clarity and decision-making, and more money in my pocket. Marijuana is great for the experience, but it should not be a lifestyle unless you are independently wealthy. Story 30. Putting everything off until tomorrow. I feel much happier now by getting things done right away instead of constantly living in regret for not doing what I actually want to do today. Story 31. Putting up with narcissistic behavior. Now, I notice it quickly and walk away faster. This is a total game changer. Story 32. I stopped caring about what anyone thinks of how I live my life. I am not hurting anyone with my diversity-positive message and hippie attitude. I work, come home, love my wife, and make our little home oasis by the highway 1% better each day. Story 33. Chasing after people when they will not communicate or trying to intuitively anticipate their feelings can be exhausting. Many people, especially those with trauma, do this and it wears us out. I finally decided that other people's feelings are not my problem unless they communicate them. I cannot waste my entire life waiting for the shoe to drop. Story 34. Stopped trying to fight the dragon alone. Post-traumatic stress disorder from Vietnam. Found a therapist who specialized in wartime experiences. I have come to terms with that part of my life and do my best to look to the future and leave the past behind. The dragon is still there, but we coexist in peace now. Story 35. Video games. I haven't played since Christmas. I used to play so late into the night that I would be too tired to go to the gym in the morning. Now that I stopped, I don't skip gym days. I've since lost 40 pounds of pure fat and gained some muscle. My house is neater too since I replaced video games with cleaning or doing things in the house I put off for years. Do it. Quit video games. I've been a gamer my whole life. It's a time suck. It's a waste. I don't care if you think you deserve it. What we deserve isn't always what we need. Best decision of my life. It makes not being a fat slob loser much easier. Story 36. I deleted my Facebook account 5 years ago, along with a couple of others that I occasionally used. It's freeing. Now, when I meet or chat with friends, we don't already know everything going on in each other's lives because we haven't read about it online that morning. One reason was that I missed hearing about things directly from a friend, in person, instead of reading about them as if they were just today's news and forgettable by tomorrow. Story 37. Reacting to others' nonsense. Once I stopped trying to prove anything and stopped caring about others' perspectives, my life became so much better. Story 38. Always thinking in the worst-case scenario. I am a planner by nature, and I did not change that. I just realized that I can be ready without always being scared. Story 39. I stopped expecting from people what I would do myself in different situations. I am not disappointed anymore. Story 40. I stopped using should and replaced it with want or need. If I do not want or need to do something, I simply do not do it. Story 41. Avoiding color. In my home decor, wardrobe, phone case, dog accessories, creative outlets, dishes, you name it. For too long, I leaned heavily into the neutrals, and it feels so nice to have some exciting color and bold patterns in my life. Neutrals definitely have their place, and I love earthy colors. But bright colors are natural too. I bought eyeglasses with green frames, my favorite color, had our front door painted orange, painted my daughter's bed frame Crocodile Dreams green, and a corner hutch a golden yellow with bold wallpaper inside, to name a few examples. Story 42. I got rid of all my marketing email subscriptions and am actively trying to stay off Amazon and Instagram. Granted, it has only been a month, but I will soon have an extra $1,000 in the bank. I was not spending all that money on unnecessary things, but I am easily influenced. Story 43. Stopped putting effort into friendships that were not reciprocated. I was always paying for everything for those friends. Story 44. Stopped caring about what mean girls think. Like the women who hate you instantly before ever even talking to you. Story 45. Trying to force myself to like things I do not and do things I do not want to do, and assigning arbitrary morality to things that do not matter, all in the name of self-improvement and self-discipline. I am not saying I gave up working on myself, but I have started questioning what benefits really come from the work I am putting in and whether it is worth it. Story 46. I have been smoking cannabis for well over 30 years. When I reached my 40s, I quit drinking and then I quit smoking cigarettes, but I just couldn't quit smoking cannabis. This continued for 4 years. I am now 46 and have been off cannabis for a year. I am totally sober from everything. I don't even take coffee or tea because of the caffeine. I am the fittest and healthiest I have ever been in my life. It took me a while to realize I was using all those things as a crutch, and none of it was bringing me any pleasure, just giving me anxiety instead. My mind has never felt so clear as it does now. I am glad for it and have no desire to use cannabis again. I smell it a lot around where I live, and I don't miss it at all. It just made me into an unproductive person, making me think I was enjoying activities and daily life when in reality, I wasn't. I am much better for it and enjoying life much more now. Story 47. Going to church gave me a 10% raise weeknights and weekends to myself, and zero guilt about what I can do and cannot do. I also found out that I do not need religion to feel good about myself and other people. Story 48. 1. Stop eating junk food, fast food, soft drinks, soda, commercially processed food, and any unhealthy food. Eat more vegetables and freshly cooked food at home. Immediately cut off toxic people. Do not pressure yourself to post or respond to anything on social media. When you notice yourself doom scrolling on social media, call yourself out verbally and then stop or close your phone screen. When you notice you are stressed or about to be, immediately stop and relax, no questions asked. Practice saying no more often. Story 49. Drinking alcohol. 1,500 days later, I am married with a child, have a better job, and am closing on a house. Story 50. I stopped shutting my mouth on politics and values to keep the peace. It is a very effective way to rid your life of people who do not care about others. I have met many great people because of that. Shared values create community, and values are absolutely political. But immigrants, goodbye. The illegals, goodbye. Trans people, goodbye. The gays, goodbye. Women should not, goodbye. I have faith in Donald Trump, goodbye. Story 51. I gave up trying to make friends by force. I wasn't inconvenient, but I was very humiliated. Now I let whatever happens happen. Story 52. Drinking soda. Jesus Christ, did I lose weight? It basically stopped killing me. I can't say the same for my family, though. They still drink 2 liters every day. Story 53. Saying yes to everything. I still say yes to most things, but I keep to myself much more to avoid putting myself in difficult situations. Story 54. I don't smell like an ashtray. I don't need to have a smoke break every hour. My breathing is much better than it was when I quit 17 years ago, and I am not literally burning money. Story 55. Removing toxic people from my life. Surround yourself with people who want to see you succeed instead of fail. Story 56. Self-harm. I stopped over a year ago on June 17, 2023, and I have been feeling much better since then. I learned that it was not for self-punishment like many people believe, but rather an intense pain stimulation. I am looking into getting specially made fidget toys to cope in a healthier way. Story 57. I stopped having sexual intercourse. As someone who has been very focused on sexuality since childhood, it is a huge relief to be in my celibacy period. Sexual discipline allows me to disenter men and focus on myself. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.